Okay, John Stettin passed the wire in the War Room Studio office. Goes as 3 for 1, take your pick, and we're going to talk a little Black-Eyed Susan. Black-Eyed Susan is the kind of equivalent to the Kentucky Oaks, which is a preview to the Derby, the kind of the Philly version, and we've got the Black-Eyed Susan to preview and watch the Philly version of the counterpart of the Preakness. And, when I looked at the race, I was encouraged and discouraged at the same time. I was encouraged because I didn't see a lot of possibilities, even factoring in the sloppy condition that the race will be run under, and discouraged because it wasn't exactly a stellar field, so, it was a little disappointing as far as that goes, but I think it's going to turn out to be a decent betting race. And, like I always said, if you're right, it doesn't matter. You still get paid. So I think we can narrow it down. At the end of the day, I really think there's only 2 horses that can win. There are 3 horses that, look to me like they're going to go forward. And I said the same thing in the Derby. There were 3 horses to me that looked like they could possibly go forward. One of them looked like he could bounce and win, and that was Mendelssohn, who didn't run any good at all. But the other 2 I thought could go forward were Justify and Good Magic, and they ran 1-2. So hopefully the way that I handicap and approach races holds up in this race as well, because like I said, there's only 2 horses that I really think are going forward and are going to bring their A game to the table today. And of those 3, I've narrowed it down to 2, and of those 2, I lean a little bit to one more than the other, but I may adjust that as the day unfolds, depending on how the track is playing and how things are going. But before I get to those, I'll talk about 2 other horses briefly. Coach Rocks is probably going to take a lot of money in here. She's coming out of the Kentucky Oaks. Before that, she ran in the Gulfstream Park Oaks and ran a huge race, winning that grade 2 right after breaking her maiden, and that kind of got her on a lot of people's radar for the Kentucky Oaks. Not mine, to tell you the truth. I didn't like her in the Oaks. I thought she was a toss. She didn't run well at all. I thought she would bounce and regress, and she did. She ran, if memory serves correct, a 3 or thereabouts on Thoroughgraph in the Gulfstream race, which was a lifetime best for her. It also was a taxing race, in my opinion. I was there. I watched her that day. It looks like she made a big, sustained move, and it was going to be difficult for her to repeat that in the Oaks, and she didn't. A lot of people will play her to bounce back today and go, stay on that bandwagon or jump on that bandwagon. I'm not so sure she's going to bounce back. I respect Dale Romans, and he's beaten me in big races before. I think he's one of the best, and when he runs, you always need to take notice. But I go on my opinion and not other people's. So I respect Dale, but if he wins, he's going to beat me again today. I just can't. I can't back Coach Rocks off the last race and off the the downward pattern. The other horse I'll mention is Marah. Marah is a horse that was on my tracking strips list. It didn't win first time on the list, but ran a huge race and exploded second time off the list. And I knew that race was in her. I just don't know that she can repeat it, and I don't even know if it's good enough to beat a couple of the fillies in here. So, she might be a horse that's more likely to, get into the, the triple or super or possibly the exacta. But I really don't think that she's the winner. A horse that's interesting, but I'm going to go against, but also has a pattern that is indicative of a forward move, is Good One Honey. Good One Honey is 2 for 2. We can't knock her. We're not going to knock a 2 for 2 horse. And, she looks to me like she's going to go forward here. And if she does, she's absolutely a contender. But I'm going to go with a couple of different angles and a couple of different, schools of thought before I get to her. So I'm not going to use her. I'm going to probably play either pick 4, or probably a pick 5, because it's the lowest takeout bet over there. And I'll readily admit I'm not going to get too crazy today with the weather. We've got a big day tomorrow. Also going to be bad weather, but I prefer tomorrow's card, and even that's going to be a little tempered because of some of the chalky potential that's out there tomorrow. But of course we'll get a little bit involved and try and create a little bit of value. But today, I think there's really two horses that are the most likely to win the Oaks. Now bear in mind, I don't have the scratches as of yet, and Midnight Disguise is a horse that, if she runs, is going to take a lot of money. It's Linda Rice's horse, the 2-horse with Irad Ortiz. I heard she's going to scratch. Like I said, I don't have the scratches yet, but she's not one of the 2 I think that can win. So if she scratches, it's unfortunate for me, because she would have took some of the money away from the 2 I like. The first one I'll talk about is the 9, Sarah Street. Sarah Street is probably the fastest horse in the race. Definitely on Thoroughbred she is, and I think she's going to go forward here, and that could make her tough. But she's drawn outside, and while I like Dylan Davis a lot, and I think he's developing into a fine young rider, hadn't won a big one like this just yet. And while I think there are plenty of them with his name on it, from that outside draw in the slop, I'm going to lean another direction, knowing full well that he could win and give her a really good ride and beat my top choice. But I have a feeling that the public, especially if Linda Rice's horse scratches, is going to gravitate to this filly. And I think my filly is just as good. So, given the choice of the one that's going to take the most money and the other one, if I like them the same, I'm probably going to lean the other way. And I do like the other one slightly better, and I'll explain why. But, still talking about Kieran McLaughlin's horse, Sarah Street, she's bred, in my opinion, to love the wet going that she's going to see today. She's got speed. That may work a little bit against her, although she can sit a little bit. I don't know if she can sit all that much. When I first looked at the race, I thought, maybe she can sit, and she's going to be awfully tough. And I did flip-flop between my top 2 choices somewhat before I landed on the one that I'm gonna lean on. And Sarah Street, she's dangerous. She's one of the 2 that I think can win. But like I said, I'm going in another direction. She's a New York filly. Love the off-track pedigree. I think that's going to move her way up. I think, her pattern suggests she's going forward anyway. So, without a doubt, she's the horse to beat. And I have a feeling she's going to wind up to be the favorite. But I'm going to go in another direction, and I'm going to go with Red Ruby, the 4, with Paco Lopez for Kellen Gorda. This filly's got a really, really nice win in the slop. She's a Tiz now out of a Rubiano, so she's more sprint oriented on the bottom, but she's also bred very good for the wet track. Not as good as Kieran's horse on the outside, but she's bred awfully good. And I like to switch from Alvarado to Paco Lopez here. I think, just based on, personal observation and little nuances you pick up on over the years, I think Paco really fits this filly, and I think he's going to ride her well and aggressive, and I think she's probably going to be a little bit behind Kieran's horse and Dylan Davis, but that's okay. I kind of like that. I think she's going to be coming in the lane. She's got that sloppy win at Oaklawn in the Martha Washington, I believe, and I think she's fresh and sitting on a good race, and also one that, when I look at the Thoroughbred patterns, to me, she's a filly that's going forward, and I think she'll be a bigger price and offer more value than Kieran's horse. I do think it comes down to those 2. I think the other horse that I mentioned, Good One Honey, doesn't quite have the seasoning in this route race, and may get a little bit caught up in the speed. That said, all of that said, that's how I'm probably going to lean. The only thing that would sway me is if I see something in the track bias-wise, or the way the track is playing, or, something like that, prompts me to jump ship. I might, but I really don't envision that because I did handicap the race expecting a very wet track and expecting, you know, possible deluge conditions. So, you know, we're ready for that scenario. But that's my thoughts on the Black Eyed Susan. I'm going to be leaning on number 4, Red Ruby. Again, great day of racing, great weekend of racing, but I'm going to thread a little bit lightly because of the weather. And, you know, in 3 weeks, we've got some major opportunities coming up on Belmont Day, especially if Justify's going for the Triple Crown. We'll be looking at enormous pools, laden with opportunities. So, you know, we'll be looking to do some damage there. Today, we'll look to, you know, make a little money and eke out a few dollars, but nothing all that crazy. We'll be back with more a little bit later. Enjoy the Black Eyed Susan. Enjoy the other races. There's definitely another race I'm going to cover today where I do like a horse that's going to be a little bit of a decent price, and I'll be back with that more. So stay tuned and ciao for now.